By some flaw in time, he ended up being transported to our era. His name is Brisalious, a lover of philosophy.
You feel that sting, don't you? That persistent, uncomfortable itch in your soul, even as you swipe your finger across the screen, trying to fill a void that the algorithm can't even name. You're sitting in your ergonomic couch, surrounded by everything society promised you, and yet a treacherous question whispers in the corners of your mind. Is this all there is? Is this really all there is? The truth is, we live in an era of unprecedented comfort and of purpose on the brink of extinction. An era where anxiety has become the background soundtrack of our lives, and resilience. Well, resilience has become a hashtag, a concept diluted in empty motivational talks, while reality out there guts you alive. They say we're more connected than ever. It's a joke. We're more distracted than ever. You're connected to the machine, not to your soul. And the cost? A silent epidemic of burnout, of despondency, of people who traded the search for meaning for an incessant quest for likes. You're drowning in data, but dying of thirst for wisdom. You're losing the essential, what gives you structure, what gives you the substance not to crumble when the real world comes knocking. And it will knock. Don't be fooled. What the system offers is an illusion of security, a gilded cage. It gives you digital bread and circuses, but it steals your internal compass. It conditions you to react, to consume, to exist without deep questioning. You've become a passive passenger in your own life, at the mercy of waves of emotions and currents of others' opinions. Purpose has dissolved into the mediocrity of superficial wellness. Resilience, that ancient virtue that transformed suffering into gold, is now just a way to endure another day of existential boredom. But there is a way out. It's not a shortcut, it's not a magic pill. It's a robust philosophy, tested by the fire of history, that can reverse this spiritual entropy. Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions, as the modern caricature suggests. It's about mastering what can be mastered and accepting with dignity what cannot. It's about finding your unshakable purpose in the eye of the storm and building a resilience that doesn't break, that bends, but never yields. But here's the warning. This won't be a gentle conversation. Don't expect numbing words of comfort. This will be a slap in the face, a confrontation with truths you might have buried too deep. Truth hurts, especially when it exposes our own cowardice and mental laziness. If you're looking for an excuse to continue in mediocrity, you can stop here. If you're ready to look into the abyss, not to jump into it, but to understand its depth and build your own bridge, then stay. Now, let's be brutally honest. Why are you here? It's not by chance. It's because, deep down, you feel the weight of expectation, the pressure to always be happy, always productive, always on. But reality is a mosaic of micro-frustrations. The email that wasn't answered, the coworker who gets on your nerves, the infernal traffic, the deluge of catastrophic news that assaults you every time you dare open your browser. Small, daily erosions that, combined, create a crater in your peace of mind. You find yourself reacting to everything, a slave to circumstances, a hostage to your own emotions. With each notification, a dopamine spike, and soon after, a plunge into distraction. You feel like a rudderless boat, adrift in a sea of information and impulses, while the inner voice, which should guide you, is almost inaudible, drowned out by the world's noise. You ask yourself, what is my role here? What is my purpose beyond paying the bills and surviving until the next weekend? The answer often is a deafening silence that echoes in your chest. And the irony is, we have more options than ever. Hundreds of streaming channels, thousands of podcasts, millions of influencers telling you how to live, what to eat, who to hate. It's an overdose of choices that paralyzes you. You spend more time choosing what to watch than living. Your life has become an infinite scroll, a never-ending search for something to complete you when all you find are more and more holes. You have a refrigerator full of food, but you hunger for something deeper. You have a house full of things, but you feel empty inside. It's the cognitive dissonance of the 21st century, material prosperity and existential misery. This is the trap. Modernity, in its eagerness to free us from all restraints, ended up chaining us to new forms of tyranny. The tyranny of others' opinions, of external validation, of constant comparison. The world has become a stage, and you, an exhausted actor trying to please an invisible audience. You've lost your compass, yes, but perhaps you never even had one. Perhaps you've been conditioned to rely on maps others drew, maps that lead you anywhere but within yourself. Think about it. When was the last time you truly felt in control, not of your external circumstances, but of your own mind and your reactions? What is your biggest existential frustration right now, which the system tries to mask with a new gadget or a funny meme? Leave a comment below. Your answer isn't just for me, it's a mirror for yourself. This incessant search for something more is, in fact, a symptom. A symptom that you've been taught to outsource your moral compass, your center of gravity. You navigate an ocean of possibilities but feel drowned in indecision. Every bad news story, every social criticism, every personal failure becomes an anchor that drags you down. You feel powerless in the face of chaos, not because chaos is greater than you, but because you've allowed it to define your identity. Oh, and the culture of offense. We're in an era where the slightest breeze can topple a sandcastle, and that castle is your self-esteem. Everyone has an opinion, and that opinion, of course, is the most important. And yours? Well, yours is out there, trying to survive amid the general shouting. You're afraid to say what you think, to be who you are, because the social cost has become incredibly high. We're creating a generation of people who walk on tiptoes, afraid of making a misstep and being cancelled by the digital mob. It's a paradox. We've never been so free to express ourselves, yet we've never been so coerced into silence. And what is the source of this fragility? The denial of reality, the obsession with shaping the world to our fantasy instead of accepting the world as it is. This infantile insistence that life should be fair, easy, and free of suffering is the root of your misery. You've been fed the idea that the universe should bow to your desires, and when it doesn't, you feel betrayed, victimized. It's the generalized infantilization of the modern psyche, where responsibility has been traded for the right to feel offended. This pain isn't just yours. It's the archetypal pain of the modern individual, detached from the grand narratives that gave meaning to life, family, community, faith, and now floating in a vacuum. You try to fill this void with consumption, with superficial activism, with the incessant search for external validation. But it's like trying to fill a leaky bucket. Real purpose, genuine resilience, comes from within, from an alignment with truth, no matter how uncomfortable it may be. And here we reach the crucial point, the core of the matter. For too long, you've been conditioned to look outwards, to blame the system, society, the government, the economy, your parents, your bosses, your star sign. And yes, many of these external factors are, in fact, problematic. It would be naive to deny the complexity of the forces that surround us. But there is an even deeper truth, a truth most prefer to ignore because it demands something from you that externalizing blame never does: responsibility. You like to point fingers. It's easy. The government is corrupt. The media manipulates. The neighbor is an idiot. Coffee is expensive. And yes, all of that might be true. But while you're there, pointing your finger with almost Olympic indignation, the other finger is pointed right back at you. It always has been. You're so busy trying to fix the world out there, changing things that are completely beyond your control, that you forget to clean up the mess happening inside your own head. It's like trying to clean the ocean with an eyedropper while your house is on fire. What do you truly control? Think about it. Do you control the actions of others? No. Do you control the financial market? Definitely not. Do you control the weather? Not a chance. But you control one fundamental thing, the only thing that truly matters and which ancient philosophy already taught us. You control your reactions. You control your perception of the world. You control your judgments. And this is exactly where your inalienable power resides. That power which you, consciously or not, have been outsourcing to circumstances and to others' opinions. The external world is a theater of shadows, a play of forces that often escape our direct control. But your inner world, your consciousness, your free will, that is your kingdom. And if that kingdom is in chaos, if it is being dominated by reactive impulses, by unfounded fears, by a vain search for validation, then no matter how fair or perfect the external world becomes, you will continue to be a slave. The true prison has no metal bars, it has mental bars. To continue unraveling these uncomfortable truths and build your own mental fortress, subscribe to the channel. Together, let's build the resilience that the modern world insists on destroying. What controls you lives inside you. Repeat that. It's not a catchphrase, it's the key to your liberation. Fear, anger, envy, the insatiable search for approval. These are not external winds that knock you down. They are storms you cultivate in your own mental garden. You have more control over your emotions and your thoughts than you imagine, but you've been taught to believe the opposite, to be a victim of your own reactions. Think about a bad day. The alarm didn't go off, the coffee got cold, traffic was terrible, your colleague made an insensitive joke. The world conspired against you, right? Wrong. The alarm is one thing, the coffee is another. Traffic is a fact of life. And the colleague, well, the colleague is probably just a colleague. What really turned your day into hell was your response to each of those events. Your irritation, your frustration, your choice to let these small grains of sand turn into a quicksand mountain in your mind. You gave permission for external chaos to settle in your internal sanctuary. It's a choice. It always has been. The matrix of illusions of modern society wants you to feel powerless, because a powerless individual is an easily controllable individual. If you believe that your happiness is hostage to circumstances, you will be a slave to news, trends, the economy, and others' opinions. They want you to consume external solutions for internal problems. But the brutal truth is that the source of your resilience and your purpose is not a guru, a self-help book, or a new app. It is your innate ability to discern what is under your control and what is not, and to act according to that distinction. This is the foundation of any well-lived life. This isn't a new idea, a modern life hack. This is wisdom that echoes through millennia, a fundamental truth that the great minds of the past deeply understood. Even before modern psychologists or philosophers articulated the importance of individual responsibility, there were the Stoics. They didn't have social media to blame, but they faced collapsing empires, persecutions, and the uncertainty of human existence with a courage and clarity that puts us to shame today. Seneca, one of the most brilliant Stoic luminaries, was not just a philosopher, he was a man of power, an advisor to emperors who experienced both splendor and disgrace. He warned us, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Think about that, not the event itself, but your interpretation and your response. That's the game changer. It's the difference between being a leaf in the wind and being the tree that bends but does not break. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, who ruled the greatest empire the world has ever known and wrote his meditations not to be read but for himself, gave us the recipe for purpose and resilience. He lived in a world of wars, plagues, and betrayals, and yet he found peace and virtue within himself. His message is clear. You have power over your mind, not over external events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The voice of conscience that, if heard and followed, aligns the individual with the greater good, with their own heroic journey. Imagine Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, writing his meditations while dealing with barbarian invasions, a plague that killed millions, and a son who was probably a complete idiot. And what was his advice? Don't worry about what the barbarians think of you on Twitter. No, it was about maintaining integrity, character, virtue within himself, regardless of the tsunami the world threw at him, while we, with unlimited Wi-Fi and pizza at the door, panic over an unanswered email. It's a, clarifying perspective. If you know someone who needs this truth, someone who is drowning in internal chaos and blaming the external world, share this video. Share the compass that can guide someone back to themselves. This fundamental distinction between what is under our control, our actions, thoughts and judgments, and what is not, external events, other people, is not an excuse for passivity. On the contrary, it is the only path to effective action. Epictetus, the slave who became one of the greatest Stoic masters, taught us that happiness and freedom reside in understanding this dichotomy. If you cling to what you cannot control, you condemn yourself to frustration and suffering. But if you direct your energy to what you can control, you become invincible in spirit. You are no longer a player who complains about the deck. You are the player who plays the best possible game with the cards you've been dealt. Think about the hero's journey, present in all mythologies. The hero doesn't choose the trials, they encounter them on the path. But what defines them as a hero is their response to these trials. Their courage to face the internal dragon, to endure the darkness, to not shy away from the responsibility of their own existence. Stoicism is the philosophy of the everyday hero. It's not about achieving grandiose feats for the external world, but about conquering the most challenging realm of all, your own interior. It's about transforming chaos into order, victimhood into agency. And for some of you who are thinking, "Oh, but this is too hard, I'm too busy being anxious," well, yes, life is hard. It always has been. What do you think humans did before the internet, huh? They didn't have 24/7 online therapists. They had to deal with lions, plagues, and the constant threat that their neighbor might steal their mammoth pizza. And they built empires, created works of art, and thought about the meaning of existence. So maybe, just maybe, your problem isn't life's difficulty, but your expectation that it should be easy. The search for purpose, that flame many feel extinguishing, cannot be bought or found in an online quiz. It arises from your confrontation with raw reality, from your willingness to take responsibility for your own life, and yes, for the suffering inherent in it. Purpose is not a destination. It is the internal compass you recalibrate with every conscious choice, every act of courage, every moment you choose virtue over convenience. There is no magic solution, no instant mantra to solve all your afflictions. That would be another lie of modernity. The path of Stoicism, the path of true resilience and purpose, is continuous work, a daily practice. It's about building an internal fortress, brick by brick, not to isolate yourself from the world, but to face it standing tall, with a clear mind and a firm heart. It's about choosing your response every day, in every small or large challenge. So, next time you feel that twinge of frustration, that urge to blame the universe, or that uncontrollable desire to drown yourself in distractions, stop. Just stop for a second. Look inside. Ask yourself, is this under my control? And if not, what is my best response to it? It's a muscle that needs to be exercised. And yes, it will hurt a bit at first, like any workout. But what do you prefer, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret and mediocrity? The choice is yours. It always has been. This is just a mirror that reflects not only the external chaos, but primarily the dormant power residing within you. The power to forge your own purpose, to build your own resilience. The power to be the master of your ship, even in the fiercest storms. The truth is there. The choice is in your hands. Use it. The journey to becoming invincible in spirit begins with a single step. Don't give up. Continue to question, to learn, to integrate. Your life is too valuable to be left to chance. Find your purpose. Forge your resilience. Thank you for watching.